innovation is going where no one has ever gone before. Entrepreneurship. What's that? It's designing, launching, and running your own business. How does one become innovative, you ask? You need to take initiative. You need to be creative. You need to be critical. You need to have motivation and drive. You need to go where no one has gone before. You have to know your strengths and your weaknesses to be able to work with them and on them. My strengths are, I'm able to work in a team. I'm able to take initiative. I'm able to think critically. I'm able to be inventive. I'm able to think outside the box. These are my weaknesses. Is creativity. Creativity consists of many things. Inside a box of creativity. A tube of innovation. There's a jar of teamwork. And a bottle of confidence. Forget a can of motivation. A can of inspiration. A stick of risks. You need bags of resilience. You will have brief moments of disappointment. But don't worry, they don't last long. Don't forget to shave space for feedback and evaluation. You need to be able to think outside the box.
Hello everybody and welcome to class. Everyone please take a seat because today we're going to be starting something entirely different than what we normally do. We're going to be starting a new project where you're going to work together as a group and see how you can come up with a pitch and making food for each other and with each other. Now, great, you're all sitting down, that's good. So we have this project that we're going to be working on, which is about countries, where all of you will be divided into 3 groups where you can work together and come up with ideas on how you can sell your country to people that haven't been to the country before. So you're all going to be divided into groups and make this pitch, as we call it, where you will sell your country to people from the outside and make it seem interesting based off of the food and things that you will be reading about in your groups. So when I'm done talking, we're all going to be working on the things and the countries that we're assigned. Now, as I mentioned, this is about food. So we're going to be making a pitch based primarily off of the food that we will be reading about and preparing tomorrow. But I'm jumping ahead of myself and getting ahead of myself by saying so. We need 3 groups, and the first group is going to be Great Britain. And as you can tell, and as you've probably heard and tasted, there's a lot of British food in the world. And in Denmark, we have toast in Denmark, and baked beans, and bacon, and sausages, which we share with the British. So we need someone to talk about what kind of influence that has, and the food that they eat, and that we also eat. But you can include things that aren't breakfast if there's something you're more interested in naturally as well. The second group is going to be the Australia group, where you will be talking about Australian food, which is also very special and very interesting, and I'm looking forward to tasting it tomorrow because it's going to be really good. One of the things they're most known for is their salads, but also especially their barbecue. Their barbecue is very based off of wildlife And you might have heard about some of those restaurants where people come in with the animals that they themselves have killed. And this is very special to Australia and something that you'll be reading about in the texts that you're going to be reading. The third and final group is going to be dealing with Canada. And Canada has its own very special food that we don't talk about that much in Denmark, but is very influential and talked about in the rest of the world. One of the things that I've noticed that is coming to Denmark more is poutine, which is French fries, cheese, and gravy. And we're definitely gonna be making some of that tomorrow and tasting that, and I'm sure you're looking forward to that. But there's also much more to it than just these French fries. They also have a lot of interesting breakfast foods and cakes and burgers that they only serve really in Canada so far. But considering how unhealthy it is, it probably will be spread to the rest of the world soon as well. Now, first, you're going to be researching your countries as groups, where we'll be handing out texts to you, and you'll be working on learning more about your country and preparing for tomorrow, where we will cook in groups and eat the food that we make together and get inspired and get ideas about what the food is like, which we will then use for the pitch, where we will sell the country to people who have never been to the country before. So it's really important that you all show up for this. And 2 days from now, the 3 groups will pitch their countries to the rest of the class, which means you will be standing in front of everyone else in a group and everyone has to talk. And then you will tell us why everyone in the audience must come visit your country. There's many ways you can present and pitch your idea of why people should visit your country. One idea is that you can show pictures and you can make some kind of pleasant presentation for everyone to look at and convince people to go there. Another way of doing it is to make a PowerPoint presentation or video where you can show things from the country that are alluring or interesting or entertaining that people might want to visit or see. So through a PowerPoint presentation or even a video that you film with yourselves in them, that could be really cool. And you can also do a role play where you all present using a role play where everyone has to convince one or more of you to visit the country and to go join the culture that is happening in the country. That would be really interesting to see. So that would be a very interesting thing to do. And you can also go to the maker space, which is at the school, and make a model or print something with a 3D printer, which you can use when you illustrate your country and why people should come visit your country, especially. Okay, but first we need to see who wants to be in all of the 3 groups. So those of you that want to be in the England group, please raise your hands. Those of you that want to be in the Australia group, please raise your hands. And those of you that want to be in the Canada group, please raise your hands. Okay, great. Now, don't forget that if you have any questions, to come to us and ask either me or Sophia as the teachers or each other in the group. It's really important that you don't have any questions that are unanswered.
So, as you saw before, the PechaKucha we wanted to use the PechaKucha as an introduction to the lesson so that the teacher has time to settle the class and also to introduce the topic, to introduce everything in a short amount of time. This is so that the students stay engaged, so that they don't really get bored of hearing the teacher talk, one can say. We've found that this is actually a very, very useful method, a very helpful method, so that the teacher is able to say everything they want, and the pupils remain silent and focused. Also, as you heard in the introduction to the lesson, there are 3 lessons within this topic that we chose. The first one focuses on research, the second one about cooking, and the third one is a pitch. We decided to make the final product a pitch because we think this is innovative, it's entrepreneurship, it's also exciting for the students to have this final product where they have to present it and they have to give something that they're proud of to the class. So day 1, obviously the pre-task would be the PechaKucha and also a little activity that is called Would You Rather. So the classroom would be split into half with each side of the class representing an answer, and the teacher would ask questions to do with culture, to do with the research that they're going to be conducting. One of the questions could potentially be, would you rather live in England? Would you rather live in Canada? And the pupils would go to whichever side of the room they prefer or whichever answer they agree most with, and depending on their level, the teacher can either select students at random to elaborate on their answers, or the teacher could ask the students to put their hand up and to volunteer. After this, we'd move on to the main task, which would be the researching in their groups, where they'd have to research their given country, any facts, information, anything they can find using texts that we, the teachers, or Peter and I have written and have found for the purpose of this lesson, using those texts as a starting point, as a trigger, and then from there going on to the internet, the library, and any other resources they'd like to use or that they find. And then finally, moving on to the post-task, which is the last maybe 5 minutes of the lesson. The teacher brings them all together and asks them, was there any fun facts that they found, anything they find interesting or they would like to share with the class. This isn't necessary to write down on the board, it's just to make sure that the pupils have been on track and have been doing what they were supposed to do, because it is difficult to ensure this. Also, it's a bit fun to have interesting tidbits of information to be able to share with the class. Now moving on to the second day, where they'll be cooking. The teacher would give them recipes for what they're cooking. So, for example, in England, the pupils who are studying, who are focusing on Great Britain, would have a roast dinner to prepare, and the students who focus on Australia would have a barbecue and a salad to prepare. So the pre-task would be them translating these recipes, or maybe not, finding words that they don't quite understand, ensuring that the whole recipe is understood thoroughly before they go on to cooking. The main task would be cooking, and as a teacher we should probably remind them to take pictures, because it could be useful for them to use these pictures in their pitch. Just as an idea, it's not something that they have to do. And then the post-task would be gathering as a class and eating the meals that they've prepared, discussing what they enjoyed about cooking, what they enjoyed about the food, what they didn't like so much perhaps, and also comparing it to Danish culture. That is a very important question that they have to answer, or a very important comparison that they have to make, because according to it's one of the Fællesmål, where they have to be able to compare their culture to a foreign culture. And now finally, moving on to the third lesson, which is the pitch lesson. The pre-task would be, in order to settle them into the classroom, it would be to have like a little brainstorm where, oh, what did you remember from the last lesson? Was there anything else that you would like to try, perhaps? And then they would go into their groups. The brainstorm should only take 2 minutes. And then they go into their groups and they work on their pitch. The teacher has to be sure that they understand and that they know what they're doing and that they're on track, and always be open to answering questions and giving them triggers. Peter and I have made a list of triggers that may be useful. And then the post task would be pitching to the class and then getting feedback for it. We decided to use this structure to start off with the research, the cooking, and then the pitch, because we thought that cooking isn't something that the students necessarily have in accordance to learning about culture or language. And it's a very interesting tool because it's practical. They have a solid, tangible product at the end, something that they can enjoy with their class. It gives them a sense of accomplishment and a sense of community in class worth. And also the pitch is an entrepreneurial way of presenting data, of presenting information, and also ensures that the pupils are, because it's something they have to present and they have to sell, it gives them a new range of vocabulary.